Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are cracking open a financial instrument that, well, it often hides behind a really misleading name, the assurance fee.
Mm,
It translates directly to life insurance, but honestly, if you approach it as just simple death coverage, you've completely missed the point.
you really have.
Our source material for this, it was a pretty sharp investment guide, it treats this thing almost entirely as a savings and investment vehicle.
It's a great example of a financial wrapper where the structure is everything. I mean, for millions of people, particularly in the French financial landscape where it's
Yeah.
basically inescapable, the assurance fee, or AVO, is a cornerstone.
Right.
But the confusion is real. Its legal structure as an insurance contract gives it these powerful fiscal and estate planning benefits that, standard investment accounts just can't touch.
But there's always a but.
But those benefits come tethered to some equally serious cost drawbacks.
So we have sources that are giving us this dual message, huge tax advantages on one hand, and then a really sharp warning about cost drag on the other. It feels like a classic financial trade-off.
That's precisely our mission here. We need to synthesize this contradiction for you. We're going to dissect the AV's dual nature, the big fiscal benefits, especially for wealth transfer, versus the silent killer of, well, potentially crippling annual fees.
And the goal is to help you figure out where this tool fits, or maybe where it doesn't fit, into your long-term strategy.
We're just looking at the mechanics and the numbers.
And as always, just a quick reminder that this discussion is purely educational. It's all drawn from the insights and the sources we analyze. We're sharing knowledge, not giving you personalized advice.
Yeah, any financial commitment you make has to be based on your own research and your unique situation.
Okay, let's get into what this wrapper actually contains.
To really get the pros and cons, you have to understand its core identity. So put the life insurance part aside for a second. This is fundamentally a medium to long-term investment vehicle. It's designed to be an efficient tax envelope. Its main goal, as the guide states, is to allow you, the investor, to diversify your holdings using a tool that gets, well, profoundly more interesting fiscally the longer you hold it.
And our source material breaks this down right away into two key elements or pillars that make up pretty much every AV contract. When you open it up, you find the safe part and the riskier growth-seeking part.
Let's start with the safety net. The fonds euros. This is the secured portion, the low-risk side of the contract.
And what makes it unique?
What makes it unique is that the capital you put into a fonds euros is guaranteed. And crucially, that guarantee isn't from the government. It's from the insurance company itself. They're the ones absorbing the market risk.
That structural security is really powerful, isn't it? Especially for investors who are more risk-averse or just want to protect some reserves. But what's the trade-off for that guarantee?
Performance. That's the trade-off. Because the capital is guaranteed by the insurer, the money is usually invested in super secure, low-yield assets, like government bonds.
So, safe, but slow.
Exactly. Excellent for capital preservation, but the annual return is usually stable but pretty low. Often, it barely keeps up with inflation, if it even does that.
Okay, so if we want growth and diversification, we have to look to that second pillar, which our source calls the unité de compte, UCs. That's where the risk and all the action is.
Precisely. UCs are the real investment engines here. These units let you invest into assets that are, yes, far riskier, but have much higher potential returns.
And what kind of assets are we talking about?
Through UCs, you can get access to a whole range of things. ETFs, individual stocks, mutual funds, even specialized real estate investment trusts called SCPIs. This is the mechanism that lets the AV actually work as a diversification tool. You're just using the insurance wrapper for its tax benefits.
But here's where our sources flag the first big caution. That investment universe you can access through UCs. It's not infinite, right? You're not just operating in an open brokerage account.
That's a critical point. You're absolutely right. The specific ETFs or stocks you can actually invest in are heavily dependent on the specific insurance company holding your contract.
You're stuck with their menu.
You are constrained by the menu they provide. If you want access to a particular low-cost index fund, you have to make sure the insurer you pick actually offers it.
That's a key limitation we need to remember when we get to fees later. But first, let's tackle the elephant in the room. Why do people put up with this limited menu and the complex structure?
It all comes down to those two massive upsides. The tax shield and the power of wealth transfer.
Let's start with the tax part.
Okay, the fiscal advantage. This is the main reason to keep money locked up in an AV. The whole structure is designed around one magic number. 8 years.
8 years.
The really significant tax breaks only kick in after the contract has been held for 8 full years.
So what exactly changes at that 8-year milestone? What's it like before and what's it like after?
Before 8 years, if you withdraw any gains, they're generally hit with the standard flat tax rate, the PFU, which is around 30%.
Which is okay, but not amazing.
Right, it's pretty standard. The real benefit, the reward for your patience, comes after those 8 years.
And that reward is the key tax nugget.
The reward is a significant tax abatement on your gains when you withdraw. After that 8-year threshold, you get an annual tax-free allowance. You can take out up to 4,600 euros worth of gains per year if you're single.
Or double that if you're married.
Exactly, completely tax-free.
So just to give that number some context for you listening, if you have a decent-sized retirement portfolio making, say, 5% in gains a year, that 4,600 tax-free allowance covers the gains on a really substantial amount of capital every single year.
It's a phenomenal incentive. It converts a big chunk of your long-term passive income into highly efficient tax-exempt income. But like you said earlier, the benefits don't just apply while you're alive.
Yeah.
The AV's power for wealth transfer, the transmission de patrimoine, is arguably its most valuable feature for some investors.
So how does it do that? What makes it better than standard inheritance?
It basically operates outside the usual inheritance rules. The capital paid out to your named beneficiaries when you pass away gets highly favorable tax treatment. For instance, if you made the contributions before you turn 70, each beneficiary can receive up to 152,500 newtamlens, completely free of inheritance tax.
Wow.
This is absolutely critical for estate planning. It lets you bypass standard inheritance laws, making it a cornerstone for family wealth structuring.
So that combination tax-efficient income for you and a super efficient wealth transfer for later, it looks incredible on paper. And we can't forget the security of the funds on Euro's side, that guaranteed capital.
Agreed.
Yeah.
On paper, it looks like a slam dunk. But now we have to pivot to the warning that just dominates our source material. The warning that made the author ultimately say, maybe skip the AV, and that is the fees.
And here's where we shift focus completely. If the AV is the perfect wrapper, the fees are like termites, eating away at the foundation. They're often way higher than other options. And it's not just one fee.
No, it's layers of cost. We have to break them down because this is where all your performance gets lost. First, you might have entry fees, a percentage charge just to put your money in.
A fee just to get started.
Yeah. Luckily, a lot of modern online AVs have gotten rid of these, but traditional bank contracts often still have them.
And the ongoing costs are even worse.
Exactly. The most corrosive fee is the management fee. It's charged every year on the total value of your contract. In traditional contracts, this can easily be 0.8% to 1.5% per year.
Every single year.
Deducted automatically. And if you're invested in mutual funds inside the AV, those funds have their own fees too, so you get a double layer of cost.
And then there are arbitration fees, which they charge you just to move your money around inside the contract. All these costs stacked up are a massive headwind.
And this is where we have to bring in the wisdom of John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. The source material quotes him directly. What you don't see in fees, you lose in the years.
That statement is just devastatingly accurate when you apply it to these high-fee AVs, isn't it? Because of compounding.
It is. I mean, imagine you're 30, investing for 40 years. You compare two contracts. Both get a 7% gross return, but one has 0.5% in fees, the other has 1.5%.
So a 1% difference. Seems small.
It seems small, but that 1% difference compounded over 4 decades. It doesn't just reduce your final capital by a bit, it can reduce it by far, far more. We're talking tens, even hundreds of thousands of euros just gone.
Well, what about by fees?
High fees are the single greatest enemy of long-term performance, period.
That makes the mandate for anyone even thinking about an AV crystal clear. You have to compare contracts well. These corrosive fees vary wildly between insurers.
And choosing the wrong contract is basically financial sabotage. Beyond fees, there's also liquidity and the user experience. Compared to something like a PEA, the French stock savings plan, or a standard brokerage account, the CTO, the AV, is generally less liquid.
What does that look like in practice? Can't you just pull your money out when you need it?
You can, but it's not always instant. The funds are available, but withdrawing often involves processing times, especially if you need to sell UCs. It can lead to delays of several weeks. It just doesn't have the immediacy of a brokerage account.
So it's more of a complement to those, not a replacement.
Exactly. And on the user experience side, the source points out that managing your investments can be a clunky, complex affair, not like modern platforms at all.
And the customization is limited. You're mostly just picking from a pre-approved list of funds, right?
For the most part, yes. Some rare high-end contracts do let you pick individual stocks and ETFs, but that's the exception, not the rule. It just reinforces the point that you have to scrutinize what they offer before you sign anything.
So we've laid out a real dilemma here. Powerful tax and estate benefits, especially that 8-year shield versus the huge hidden cost of high fees, poor liquidity, and limited choice. When the source material puts it all together, what's its final and pretty challenging conclusion?
What's really interesting is how bold the author is. I mean, despite acknowledging all the powerful fiscal benefits, the source material ultimately advises you to leave the assurance vie aside.
Just leave it aside.
In general, yes, because of how common those high annual management fees are.
That feels like a massive leap. How can a sophisticated guide dismiss a tool that offers such powerful, tax-free wealth transfer? Why is the cost so devastating that it overrides that estate planning power?
It really speaks to a fundamental principle of modern investing. Controlling your costs is the highest priority. Market returns are uncertain, fees are guaranteed.
Right.
For a generic investor focused purely on maximizing retirement growth, that annual 1% fee drag just outweighs the uncertain future benefit of tax avoidance. They'd prioritize pure compounding in a low-cost structure like a PEA instead.
But what if we look at a specific investor, say an older person whose main goal isn't growth, but efficiently passing a large fortune to their kids? Doesn't that estate planning advantage immediately outweigh the fee difference?
Absolutely. And this is the nuance the source touches on. The AV is optimized for a very specific purpose: death planning and long-term tax shielding. If you are wealthy, near retirement, and worried about inheritance tax, the AV is unparalleled.
But if you're 30...
If you're 30 and want to build the biggest possible portfolio for 40 years, the low-fee PEA might be superior, even without that tax-free withdrawal feature.
Which brings us back to the importance of independent thinking. The tool is meant to inspire thought, not just give you an answer. We give you the facts, but you have to look at them through the lens of your own reality.
Precisely. You, the investor, have to set your own goals, your own time horizon, your own risk tolerance. A tool that's inefficient for a young person accumulating wealth might be absolutely essential for a high net worth planner.
And this is exactly where we should bring in that bit of wisdom from Charlie Munger. Take ideas wherever they are, but use your own brain to assemble them.
Perfect.
It just reinforces that need for critical thinking. We're giving you the disassembled parts, the tax facts, the fee structure, the estate benefits, but you have to do the final assembly based on your own needs.
And as we wrap up, let's just reiterate those precautionary reminders the source makes so clear. Markets are uncertain. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Before you make any engaging decision, you have to do your own research, question your assumptions, and talk to a certified professional if you have any doubts. Everything we've discussed is purely for educational purposes.
So what does this all mean for you? We've seen that the Assurance Vibe provides a tremendous tax shield after 8 years, but that shield often comes at the cost of higher fees and less freedom. It's a trade-off. Control versus tax privilege.
It raises a powerful final question we want to leave you with. Where does the inherent value of efficient wealth transmission, that estate planning superpower of the AV, begin to outweigh, say, a 1% difference in annual management fees?
Yeah, is that benefit worth paying an extra 0.5% in fees every year just for the structural advantage it gives your heirs down the line?
That balance, a known cost today versus a massive tax saving tomorrow, that's the ultimate personal calculation.
It really is. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the complex world of French investment vehicles. If this analysis helped you better understand the Assurance Vie and its critical cost structure, please take a moment to add a like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives. We'll see you next time.